Hi everybody, I'm Ann Cecil. I'm going to give myself some more light, and I am the owner, designer, maker of Roxanne Lava shoes. And today I'm going to talk to you about my Upcycle Sandal Challenge. So should you take the challenge, should you choose to accept it, I wanted to give you some guidance on some things to think about as you are working on. So part one of this project is that for the basic shoe, we need three components. The first component is an outsole. Now I'm showing you a fancy one that is made of several component parts. But if you imagine that I do not have the rubber for the heel or the heel leather or the tip, that's what an outsole is. So it's important to remember that with an outsole, the purpose of the outsole is to protect your foot and the shoe from whatever surfaces you will be walking on. So if you're choosing to make an indoor-only sandal, you'll probably be going across things like tiles, rugs, hardwood floors, smoother surfaces that don't have too much texture. But if you are actually going to wear your sandal outside, even just to go to the pool, you are probably going to come into contact with some materials like pavement, blacktop, maybe some stone, that are going to be things that you need to have a thick enough and strong enough material to actually combat the abrasion from those things that you will be walking on. Another thing you might want to consider about your outsole is that you may want it to be non-slip. So the things to remember about the outsole are that it's going to have to protect your foot and the shoe from anything you're going to come into contact with in the areas where you will be walking in this shoe. And it may need to have non-slip qualities. Now this is one of my real handmade mules, and so what it has is a leather outsole that has a leather heel lift, and then it has the non-slip, which is actually for the heel, which will keep your foot grounded. And this rubber here is because this is a super pointy toe, and so your foot actually ends here. So often this tip can get damaged very easily, but it is helpful when you have a toe tip on it so that it keeps it from getting damaged, since your toes are not really in control of this particular tip. So that's the outsole. The second material that we need is an insole. This is the material that goes next to your foot. And so what is most important about this material is that it is actually going to be comfortable next to your foot. Now you can see, again, this is one of my handmade mules. So I've used a leather insole here. It also needs to be flexible, as does the outsole, because we've got to walk in it. But there are two sort of camps on insoles. There are the people who like a nice, soft, cushy, pillowed insole, and there are those who like a more rigid, harder insole. Whichever one you are is great, because it's about the comfort of your foot in this particular sandal. But what I want you to remember is that, so this would be an example of a more rigid insole. It does not have any cushioning. If you wanted cushioning, then you'd have to consider a different insole material in order to have that. So if I was to make this with a cushy sole in my handmade practice, I would have another layer here underneath that would have some board and some foam on it. And that would give the cushiness that somebody who likes a cushy insole would prefer. The third thing that we need is an upper. That's the thing that goes over your foot. So again, I'm going to show you one of my mules that's in process. My mules are made of leather, and so this is the beginning of the upper for the pair of shoes I've been showing you. But what's important about the upper is that it has to go over your foot. So what is going next to your foot, the underside of it, must be comfortable, because that's what the skin on the upper of your foot is going to actually be rubbing against. It also may want to be decorative. It also needs to be flexible, because you'll be walking in this. So it's going to need to move and spring back, move and spring back. Now, one thing that I do want to tell you about considering your upper is, this upper goes really high up my foot, almost to my ankle. The closer your upper gets to your ankle, the harder it will be for you to walk out of your sandal, and the less slap you will have on your sandal. If you only cover the front part of your foot with straps, you will be more likely to walk out of the sandal, and you will be more likely to have slap as you're walking. Okay, so the higher up the foot your straps go, the more your foot will be secure in the sandal, and the less slap you will have. Now, just so you understand the basic way that you would make the shoe, your insole and your outsole, so your insole and your upper, you're going to wrap your upper around your foot and glue it to your insole. And then this whole component of insole and upper will be glued down to your outsole. So that's the basics of making this sandal. Now, again, I also just wanted to show you, you can embellish your upper in any way you'd like to. This is in the process of being embellished, and here is the last component that will be on my particular shoe that I am making here. Okay, so now we've talked about what you need in order to select the right materials. I'm going to take you to a second video where we will talk about some of those materials that will work for each of these three